Welcome to Sohrat podcast.
Assalamu alaikum. This is a trailer of Juz 6. The full video will be out soon. Keep subscribing to the channel. Okay, so today we are cracking open Juz 6. And I have to say, this section feels like the moment the rubber really meets the road. We're finishing up Surah An-Nisa and just starting Surah Al-Ma'idah. And the intensity, it just ramps up immediately.
It really does. I mean, if you look at the themes, it's almost like the text is setting a final standard of truth, you know? It bridges this high-stakes theology with some very grounded, gritty reality.
Speaking of high stakes, we have to talk about the narrative around Jesus, because the text here, it doesn't just offer a different opinion, it completely flips the script on what most of the world thought happened.
It doesn't beat around the bush at all. Surah An-Nisa is incredibly bold. It says explicitly that they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him.
Right.
But that it appeared so to them. It just cuts through centuries of established belief to say, no, this is what actually happened. Allah raised him up.
That is just, it's massive. But then, almost right away in Surah Al-Ma'idah, it pivots again. It warns, do not say three.
Shutting down the idea of the Trinity.
Exactly. But then it drops this incredibly human detail. It says that both Jesus and his mother Mary ate food.
I love that detail. It's such a brilliant reality check, isn't it?
Yeah.
It dismantles this idea of divinity just by pointing to, well, to biological necessity. It's essentially saying, look, they were noble, but they were human. They had human needs.
Okay, but here's where it gets a little confusing for me. The text has just spent all this time refuting the core theology of the people of the book. But then a few verses later, it tells Muslims basically, go ahead and eat with them. How does that work?
It's a fascinating paradox. In the same breath that it draws a hard theological line, it builds a social bridge. It makes the food of Jews and Christians permissible for Muslims.
So it separates the theology from the neighbor.
Exactly. It does. Though obviously there are limits. The do not eat list is pretty strict.
Yeah. All right, the dead animals, blood, pork, and anything slaughtered in the name of anyone other than Allah.
Right. It's all about spiritual purity. And that ties so perfectly into what feels like the graduation ceremony of the faith in this Juz. Today I have perfected your religion for you.
The toolkit for life is officially complete.
Yes.
And that toolkit includes the famous wudu verse. But what really jumped out at me wasn't just the washing instructions, we all know those, but the backup plan.
You mean tayammum, the dry purification.
Exactly. The text says if you can't find water, just use clean dust. It prioritizes the connection with God over the actual resource. But, and this is such a jarring shift, right after establishing how to be physically clean, the text just drags us into the messiest, darkest moment in human history.
The story of Habil and Qabil, the first murder.
It's such a tragic contrast. You have these beautiful rules for purity, and then bam, jealousy, a rejected sacrifice, and a brother killing his brother.
And the aftermath is just as heavy. The murderer is just lost, carrying the body, until Allah sends a crow to scratch the ground and show him how to bury his brother.
A crow teaching a human about dignity. That is so humbling. But the text then links this one specific crime to that universal principle we hear everywhere, doesn't it?
It does. It immediately establishes that killing one innocent soul is like killing all of humanity.
And saving one is like saving all of humanity.
It takes this intimate family tragedy and makes it the standard for the sanctity of all life.
Which brings us, I guess, to the standard of justice. Because it's easy to be just to your friends, but Juz 6 demands something so much harder.
Let not the hatred of a people prevent you from being just.
That's the ultimate test of character.
It is, and the text explains why this matters so much. It points to the Bani Israel and the Christians, and it explicitly mentions the covenants taken from them.
And what happened when they broke them?
Right. How breaking those promises hardened their hearts. So it's a warning.
A warning to not repeat that same history. To keep your word, even with your enemies.
Precisely. It brings everything back to that central theme, truth. The truth about Jesus, the truth about life and death, and the truth of our own conduct.
And the section ends with a really provocative question, right?
It does. It asks, essentially, do you seek the judgment of the days of ignorance? Or is the judgment of Allah better for those who have certainty?
It really forces you, the listener, to decide what standard you want to live by. That is the question to sit with. And remember, this was just a trailer. There is so much more depth here, especially in the covenants and the legal rulings that we didn't even get to touch. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to catch the full in-depth breakdown of Juz 6 coming very soon. You really don't want to miss it.